All right, welcome back, everybody. We left off with committee proposals on these three pieces of legislation that we have received public hearing on this morning. That would be 26 LSO 0040. So let's start with that one. And if there is any comments from the committee or discussion, and then I would ask for a motion if there is one. And that is pen and paper ballots. Oh. Committee?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Senator
I
Bowman.
move that the committee sponsor 26 LSO 40 for the next budget session.
All right, all those in favor of that motion?
You can ask for
Oh.
amendments or anything?
If there is any,
I
yeah.
don't think there will be.
Any comments or discussion? Okay,
What was the motion?
what's that?
Well, albeit,
Mr. Chairman, I'll be a no vote. I mean, I can't believe it. It's probably the thing that Wyoming gets right more than anything in the whole country is our elections. And we have for a long time. And we keep messing with it. If this were about gun rights, and we were trying to tweak people's gun rights by saying you could only buy a gun on Saturday, or you had to buy a gun before a certain date, or you had to show this ID to buy a gun, we'd all be freaking out. And we don't have a problem, and these are unnecessary. This is a waste of time.
Any other comments? Senator Boner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I had a question about the effective date. I believe if I got the Secretary's position correct, he thinks that effective immediately would be workable, and we can do it next election cycle. But I was wondering if it's okay, Mr. Chairman, if the clerks have a different perspective. I just want to make sure we understand what their perspective is. And I think I understand. I mean, the paper ballots are the same, right? And so it should be relatively easy to simply change the mode on the counting machine. But I just want to make sure I understand that from an operational perspective. I'd ask the clerks to verify that.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
for 22 of 23 counties, I think effective immediately works just fine. Again, with some potential amendments would be our preference, of course, but I think Laramie County needs to testify as to the effects on them individually. And unfortunately, Clerk Lee is not here today, but Mr. Chairman, for 22 of 23, effective immediately would work.
All right. Senator Boner.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, just so on that, I mean, and forgive me, I've never run an election, but it seems to me that it would be relatively straightforward to simply, get different ballots. Are you certain that there'd be a problem for Laramie County, or are you just not sure because they're not here?
Mr. Chairman, I'm just not sure.
Okay.
And for the other counties, Clerk Freeze testified that it's not, that other counties with vote centers will have some administrative impacts. They'll sort through those, but I don't think that those are anything we can't overcome. But for Laramie County, I think that Clerk Lee would need to offer some testimony as to the impact, just because her situation is more unique. I can't personally speak to it.
Mary, did you have something to add?
Mr. Chairman and Committee, I'm Mary Langford. I asked Clerk Lee just recently about what the effect would be on her. And this is from an email that I received from Deborah Lee on the 8th. And I said, if you have to totally change, could you do it in 100 days? So that would be about what you'd be looking at if you went effective immediately. And she wrote, no, this would completely upend Laramie County's elections, a recipe for disaster for Wyoming's largest county that could impact elections across the state. Laramie County would have to completely change its operational plans the county would have to acquire additional voting equipment, have equipment installed, and tested by the vendor well in advance of performing the required logic and accuracy tests. This is not a plug-and-play operation. Laramie County does not have sufficient warehouse space for equipment, nor for the thousands of ballots that would have to be printed and secured, and accessory materials associated with this drastic change in operations. This would result in significant increased cost to the county. Laramie County does not have the staff, money, or time to make such a drastic change in voting operations. Then I also asked her, I said, do you need to modify your polling places and staffing? Would you need more or less? Yes, Laramie County would need to identify additional polling places, redo its operational plans and training manuals, and recruit and train additional staff. It always is a challenge to find suitable polling places that meet the needs of an operation as large and complex as elections. This would be a significant increase of cost to the county. Will you need accessories to go with paper ballots, like booths, tables, chairs, ballot management boxes? Yes, again, Laramie County would have to the challenge of procuring, storing, transporting, securing, and accounting for considerably more material to more locations. This would be a significant increase in cost to the county. Insufficient time for voter education. A change of this nature requires voter education and outreach, again, increased cost to the county. And in this case, these folks have been voting for over 20 years on touchscreen equipment. Prior to the equipment that they have now, they were on touchscreen equipment then. So since 2005, they've been doing that. And that was her comments to my questions to her, if she'd be able to tool up in 100 days.
Sounds like a good book. If you had to change, could you do it in 100 days?
No.
Representative Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Laramie County is my county, and my constituents overwhelmingly want to see us go to paper ballots. So I think this is something that we need to see get done, and we need to go with the will of the constituents.
And Mr. Chairman, if I could respond to the question too.
Secretary Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, it's not really 100 days. I mean, the primary is about a year from now. And in terms of operational procedures, that prep work can already be done. The passage of the bill would be more like in March, which would be closer to, 150 days. And, the other thing I would say too is the machines are already there. Again, the tabulating machine for the pen to paper ballot is identical to the tabulating machines for the express cards. It is the same machine. They have enough machines to process the express cards. So they should definitely have more than enough machines to process the pen to paper ballots. And in fact, the state, they are the most recent county to receive new DS-200s from the state. They are the most recent recipient of a completed order for DS-200s. So I'm just a little bit perplexed on that. I would push back. I mean, they've already said that they provide this option at the polling place, so I think they already have shown that they can program these ballots. They do it for absentee voting, so they've already shown that they can program these ballots. It actually makes the testing simpler, because remember, the issue in Laramie County with the Republican Party was around express vote testing. And it gets to the other bill, which is their interpretation is that express vote testing is not required under state law. So that whole issue, which became a major issue in the campaign, is gone, because they won't, other than for express votes with their, to meet the other sections of the bill. But the express vote testing as the main mode of casting ballots will go away. And so I'm just a little perplexed by that response. I'd push back a little bit. Understand reasonable people can disagree, but I would strongly push back on that. Thank you.
All right. Well, the motion is to move I'm sorry, Senator Landon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll try quickly not to fumble the ball here, but I've had misgivings about this whole arena of bills, more than 40 of them over the last year and a half or whatever we've dealt with here. These came forward and, my biggest concern, Mr. Chairman, is, as you can tell, is this whole notion of riding over the top of a system that isn't broken. I mean, we literally have been held in high esteem for the elections in our state for decades. I was chairman of this committee in 2020. I visited with the Secretary of State at that time, and I said, we hear all about fraud. How many ballots did you find that were fraudulent? And he said, we sent 8 to the Attorney General. 8 out of 60,000+ votes. There were 8 ballots, and 4 of them were at the University of Wyoming. Roommates who filled out their roommate's ballot. The point I'm making here is that there wasn't any fraud in that election. We had a blip on the scale up in Weston County here a year ago. That certainly gave us some fuel for this fire, but it was caught. The system worked. I'm going to vote on some of these bills to forward them to our colleagues so that they can continue to be talked about. But if there's a bill that rides over the top of my county clerk, I'm not going to vote for it. I campaigned, Mr. Chairman, from the beginning on the issue that I believe in local control. It's one of the pillar pieces of our party, the one that many of us belong to. The government closest to the people. And we're throwing that out the window. We have permission as of today to do that, but I'm not going to do that. If it hurts my county clerk's office and her ability to operate, she has been elected more than most of us, and she got a lot more votes than every one of us. I'm gonna support my local county clerk when the time comes. Thank you.
Any other comments? Senator Boner.
Well, Mr. Chairman, on this bill and all the other ones, it seems to me that we have to be cognizant of the effective date. I think, we have to make a decision whether it's going to apply to the 2026 election or not, and whether it's effective immediately or soon after the session, or I'd say January 1st, 2027. I think we have to make that decision on all these bills. What we know is not going to work is July 1st, 2026, right in the middle of an election, right? So with that in mind, it's a tough when we have a disagreement over the facts. I don't quite know what to do with the effective date. I'll just throw out the motion that we change it to January 1st, 2027. I have abundance of caution that, we should do no harm, and I think we need to figure this out between now and February. But that's my motion for now for the effective date, and we'll just see what the committee thinks.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion for an amendment to have that be January 1st, 2027 as an effective date. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no.
Division.
Division. Okay, with the raise of hands, all those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, no. Is that a tie? I guess I should have counted those. All those in favor? Okay. So the motion is for the amendment to change the effective date to January 1st, 2027 to ensure that there's time to implement it during an election, so. Okay.
Can we just take a time out, let Representative Johnson vote, and take a minute to explain it to him?
Oh, so the motion on the table is an amendment to the pen and paper ballots to change the effective date to January 1st, 2027. Okay. Do you have any questions on why or any?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Are you saying there's no possibility that Laramie County could come into conformity?
I think that's what the date signifies. We can always, this is going to come as a draft bill. We can always amend that bill in our next meeting too, but going into the draft, we want to have an effective date there secured so that LSO can do their job with it.
And Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Co-Chair.
to Representative Johnson, I think you were out of the room, but Mary Langford, the lobbyist, presented an email exchange with Deborah Lee, the clerk, and were you here for that? Okay, so that was significant for me.
And I contested those points too. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, all those in favor of the motion, let's raise our hands to change that date to January 1st, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All those opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that amendment fails. Now to the motion to move that forward as a draft.
Mr.
And
Chairman,
that would, yes, Senator Boner.
I have another amendment, if that's okay.
Okay,
I move that we make it effective immediately.
so now the motion is that we make it effective immediately upon its passage, so. Yes,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm just curious what that would look like. Effective immediately sounds virtually impossible.
Well, it's upon passage.
so Senator Boner, if you'd like to answer
I'm
that,
sorry,
please.
Mr. Chairman, I've been doing this too long. Effective immediately upon the governor's signature. So you do all the things necessary to make it a law, so it'll be in March or February. My apologies, so.
Which would give actually more time to accomplish what it entails, so, yes. Any other questions? Okay, so we have a motion for an amendment to make the date effective immediately. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Now on moving it forward,
Shouldn't we just vote on this bill, pass it? I mean, what would be the purpose of carrying it forward again?
we could, because we have had testimony on the bill from the public. The only thing we didn't have was the effective immediately date, but this was presented as a draft bill now. So yes, we could actually make the motion to approve the bill if you'd like,
I just think it'd be good for us to get some of our workload off our
to
plate.
get it done. Okay. All right, is the committee okay with that? Okay. Can I get a new motion on actually adopting the bill from committee? Okay. Representative Brown.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion that we pass this bill on as a committee bill.
Is there a second?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Chairman.
I believe the original motion was to sponsor it as a committee bill. I think that was Senator.
Was it?
Senator Boner's original
Okay,
motion
I
was.
thought it was a draft.
that.
All right. Well, let's just vote on that motion then. Roll call, vote.
Mr. Chairman, this is roll call for committee sponsorship for 26 LSO 0040, pen and paper ballots. Senator Boner. Aye. Senator Dockstetter. Aye. Senator Landon. Aye. Senator Steinmetz. Aye. Representative Brown.
Aye.
Representative Heft. Aye. Representative Johnson.
Aye.
Representative Locke.
Aye.
Representative Lucas.
Aye.
Representative Webb.
Aye.
Representative Weber.
Aye.
Representative Yin.
No.
Co-Chairman Case.
No.
Chairman Knapp.
Aye.
That passes, Mr. Chairman.
All right, we're on a roll. So the next one up is ballot drop boxes, 26 LSO 0041. What is the committee's pleasure? Moved by Representative Brown.
Is it a motion for final consideration?
Is that for final consideration or moving the bill forward to the next session or to the next meeting? Or is it
Go for the final.
or is it a final vote?
For a final vote.
Okay, is there a second? Seconded by Representative Weber. Discussion.
Do we want to change the effective date? So I'd move we change the effective date to effective immediately. That'll give them more time.
Is there a second? Seconded by Representative Weber. So the motion is to make the enacting date effective immediately as an amendment. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'd like to propose the Senate amendment that I believe that Senator Boner sent out. It was the standing committee amendment from the last session. And what it does is it allows for a single drop box. I think if you look, there's an email from Senator Boner that's got it attached to it. But the gist of it is that page 1, line 14, delete the any and insert county, and before no, insert or their sworn designee or to a secured receptacle as provided in this section. So what that does is have the sworn designee, and it says after drop box, insert, a county clerk may receive ballots through a secured receptacle in the courthouse or in another government building in the county. The receptacle may be accessible on the exterior of the courthouse or other governmental building, provided the ballots, after being inserted into the receptacle, are deposited into a secure location within the courthouse or other government building. The receptacle shall only be used for the purpose of receiving ballots and only be accessible by the county clerk or their designee. The receptacle shall be under video surveillance and checked daily by the clerk or their designee. A clerk shall have a memorandum of understanding in place in order to use a government building other than the county courthouse for the purpose of hosting a secured receptacle. And so that's the gist of it, Mr. Chairman.
Okay,
And then there is a part in the Senate Standing Committee that allows counties to be reimbursed for the removal of or relocation of drop boxes from the election account.
all right, does everybody understand that motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
to-
Representative Yin.
clarify, it is all of House Bill 131, Senate Standing Committee Amendment Number 1.
Right now, it's divisible.
All right. Is there a second to that?
Second.
Okay. Senator Landon seconded. All those in favor of the amendment, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
No.
No. You want a division on that?
I think I lost, but I think you need it.
Staff, okay with that? The motion does not carry for that amendment. Back to the original motion for the bill. Any other comments? All right, all those in favor of,
Roll call.
all those in favor of, thank you. We're voting on 26 LSO 0041 ballot drop boxes prohibition. Would you please take the roll?
Mr. Chairman, this is roll call for committee sponsorship of 26 LSO 0041 ballot drop boxes prohibition. Senator Boner? Senator Dockstetter?
Aye.
Senator Landon?
No.
Senator Steinmetz? Representative Brown?
Aye.
Representative Heft? Representative Johnson?
Aye.
Representative Locke?
Aye.
Representative Lucas? Representative Webb?
Aye.
Representative Weber?
Aye.
Representative Yin?
Nope.
Co-Chairman Case?
No?
Chairman Knapp?
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, that passes.
All right. On to ballot harvesting. prohibition, 26 LSO 0042. What is the pleasure of the committee?
Move the bill.
It's moved by Representative Weber. Is there a second? Second by Representative Webb. Discussion.
Mr. Chairman,
Representative Yin.
I don't remember all of what the clerks had suggested, but I'll move one of their suggestions that I did note. On page 3, line 5, after the word transmit, insert copies of. That's my motion.
Second.
Mr. Chairman, on page 3, line 5, after the word transmit, insert copies of.
In Representative Yin, can you just briefly explain what that will do?
Mr. Chairman, so I believe the testimony from the clerks was that they think that it is their responsibility to hold all of those affidavits and not transmit the originals of the affidavits to the Secretary of State, that they should be only transmitting the copies of the affidavits, not the originals to the Secretary.
All right. Is there any other discussion?
It's page
It's
3.
page 3. So page 3, instead of transmit, or after transmit, insert copy of, or copies of.
Pardon.
Line 6, I'm sorry.
I think it's line 5.
Mr. Chairman, the motion is page 3, line 5. After the word transmit, insert the words copies of. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Representative.
You sure it's not line 7 again?
Working draft point 2 that I was looking at. You guys are on working draft point 2.
You might.
That's interesting.
All right.
This draft says line 6.
So all those in favor of that amendment, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. All right, that motion carries. Any other amendments?
Mr. Chairman.
Senator Landon?
Chairman. Thank you. I apologize. I'm not finding exactly where we would want to put this, but I thought this was the bill that the Secretary encouraged the limit. For the residential facilities piece, may deliver on line, this would probably be 18 on your draft, may deliver up to 5 absentee ballots on behalf of qualified. I believe that would reflect the thoughts of the Secretary of State's office. So that's a conceptual amendment. I'd ask for Josh's help maybe on that one, but I would make that motion.
Josh, can you read that in to the committee?
And so from my understanding, Mr. Chairman, and again, I don't know, I think we might have a difference in page and line numbers if you're looking at the e-notebook versus an online version of that, so I apologize about that. But it would say on page 2, line 18 or 19, may deliver, instead of an absentee ballot, would be up to 5 absentee ballots on behalf of qualified electors residing in that facility.
All right. Does everybody understand? Okay, Representative Webb is the second on that motion. So we have the motion to amend to include the up to 5. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, no. All right, motion carries. Any other thoughts, amendments, comments? Yes, Senator Boner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Page 3, lines 16 or 17, there's a may there. When contemplating the situation when the county clerk has a ballot improperly delivered, says right now that the county clerk may provide notice to the elector that the ballot was not counted. And in the Senate, we changed that to a shall. Just make sure that if, something went wrong there, that that voter would at least know that they need to try again, I guess. And so I'll make that motion, strike the may, insert a shall.
All right, is everybody clear on that? Could I have a second, please? Seconded by Representative Weber. That is changing on page 3. And I think we're,
Mr. Chairman,
yes, Representative,
so maybe I could ask the Clerks Association, because I think the situation could be that the name is not readable, or they don't know who the qualified elector is on the improperly delivered ballot because it's damaged in some way or lost. So they may not be able to do it.
I would ask for the Clerks Association to come up and answer that question for Representative.
I know you asked them, but I have a little memory of this. I mean, I think the concept is that, Mr. Chairman, that, in situations where they can't get a hold of them, what's going to happen. And so I think the may was what we both agreed on during the session would be better.
Clerks Association.
Mr. Chairman, I think if it were to say, shall attempt to provide notice, because I think the Secretary's point is well made that we may not know who it is, we may not have the contact information. Theoretically, it was in the absentee envelope. We kept the two together if we discovered there was a violation somehow. And so I would like to say yes, that we can guarantee notification, but some latitude would be appreciated.
Thank you very much. Senator Boner, it's your motion. You can do with it what you will.
Yeah, sure, we can modify it to shall attempt to, perhaps.
Second, concur? All right. So we have a motion for that change from may to shall attempt to. Is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Motion carries. Yes, Senator Landon.
Mr. Chairman, I sense that we're getting to the point where you want to take a roll call on this, but I would remind that there was a suggestion made that we could consider later on with this bill, that it doesn't necessarily have to be a family member. It could just be the designee of a qualified elector, and there's some merit in that. And it would, if we were to go that way, I think it might eliminate the need for paragraph C. I'd have to think about that and look at it, but it's something, as this bill makes its way through, there's some merit to that. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator. Is there any other discussion?
Why don't we try?
Mr. Co-Chair.
This is the interim. Why don't we try to fix it? And why don't you go into paragraph B? I mean, you could say, no person shall deliver a ballot to the clerk unless the person is the qualified elector who is casting the ballot, or their designee, or an employee of a residential care facility. You could designate your kid if it's staying at family. Why wouldn't that work? Julie Freese is nodding, everybody. I want you to notice that.
So, Mr. Chairman,
My concern would be that it could also be a stranger, and we're getting into a territory where, again, we're trying to resist fraud from taking place in balance of having a person be able to give their permission for somebody to take their ballot in. Senator Dockstetter.
Chairman, we're saying designee, though. Doesn't that cover it?
It designate.
does. So, Mr. Chairman, I think what the senator is pointing toward is that if we just say designee, then that covers
Family or not.
family, or it covers an employee of a residential center. It simply, it kind of makes sense, and it cleans this up. Again, I don't think you'd need paragraph C if you do that.
Okay, other comments? Senator Boner.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think that would be a substantial change to the bill. Right now, there's a very limited amount of people, or types of people, I guess, that could take this ballot. This would open it wide open. I guess you could continue to have the 5-person limit, and that would be some constraint. But I think that we should be careful and think about this. I think it might have some merit, but it seems like we are removing some of the restrictions that are a core part of the bill here. So I agree it's the interim. Let's talk about it. Let's flesh out this idea. But I just think we need to be careful about undermining the goal of the bill, which is to, right now, is the way it functions is by limiting the types of people that can take in the ballot.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Co-Chair.
remember that in practice, this ballot has been filled out by someone who had requested it, okay? And then that they'd put a signature on their request. They fill it out, they put it in another envelope, they sign across the seal, the outside of the outer envelope, and that signature is checked to see if it matches who requested. It's not? Well, maybe, don't tell me I'm all wet, but maybe explain, would you explain that to us, Julie? Thanks. So these people have to sign, if the ballot's been invaded.
Ms. Freeze.
Mr. Chairman, as a part of the statute and committee, as a part of the statute, so you're correct up to the point where we do not check the signature unless we feel like there's something wonky about it. When we bank it in or check, so there's a barcode on that as well, that we bank to say Julie Freese's ballot has come in. And if I tried to do another ballot, bank, and it was supposed to be for Julie Freese, it would say, sorry, you already have one of those, you can't accept another one. That's the process. So, and you're correct. They're asking for it, they're receiving it at the address they gave to us, then they're sending it back. One thing I was going to say about this part of it is I can also request a ballot and say, Bert Freese is allowed to get my ballot for me, or Kel Case is allowed to get my ballot for me now. So I send that in, you can get my ballot for me, bring it to me. So maybe if you want to do something like this, maybe have it available on the website, the form, and they could, not everybody has a way to download it, but or they could call and say, I'm gonna need to send it with somebody else. I don't know, maybe there's a way to return it with some sort of form. I don't know if you can do that in rules but they already can ask for it. Anybody can bring it to them, whoever they want, but that's the process. Does you have any other questions?
Committee, other questions? Well, Ms. Freeze is here.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Representative Yin.
So maybe, if we put their designee authorized in writing, would that leave room for some rulemaking to verify that authorization?
Mr. Chairman, Representative Yen, that would, and another thought that I had, again, on this meeting that I just had this week, I think one state told me that they have to sign right on the envelope as well. And I know we're redoing envelopes as we speak, so I don't know if that's a rule thing that we could put that on the envelope. So if you're having somebody in there, you're already swearing that you're only going to vote once, and I'm asking this person to deliver it for me, and then they have to sign it too. I don't know. Print their name and sign it so we know who they are. Then I guess if somebody wanted to complain, you have a way to investigate it, but.
Mr. Chairman,
Senator.
so I'm intrigued by this simply because we have a lot of homebound constituents out there. A lot of circumstances where they might need somebody to bring their ballot in for them. They might be like me and have never put it in the mail because I don't want to put it in the mailbox. I want to take it down to the courthouse. So that piece isn't ready. I see where Julie's going with that, but I don't know how to put that together on the fly.
Other comments? Representative Locke?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Does this particular bill need additional conversation on this topic? I guess I'm just asking that. Is it of the body more than anything? Does it need that extra conversation on this topic and how we would consider that? Just be thinking out
Committee,
loud.
we have one more meeting if we want to address this. We can push this forward and start working on either expanding this or narrowing that, whichever you prefer. Representative Yin?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I know in our Labor and Health Committee, we've always pushed to have people be able to stay in their home as much as possible. So those people, while they may still be in their home, that doesn't mean that they're necessarily accessible to go out and go to the county courthouse, et cetera, especially if it's far. So I do think it's something that maybe we should try and attempt to hash out a little bit more.
Somebody make a motion to go to the next meeting.
Mr. Chairman.
Senator Steinmetz?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would move that we bring this bill back to the next meeting, and I would request that maybe the Secretary of State and Ms. Freeze get together and come up with an acceptable way to handle this for both parties.
Thank you, Senator. Since we already had a motion for final approval, let's go back to the person that brought the motion and see if they're okay with amending that to a draft for next meeting.
Needed is the second too.
In the second, yeah. So who did bring that motion? Josh, do you know who brought that motion?
I believe it was Representative Weber.
Weber, okay. So Representative Weber, are you okay with just putting that forward as a draft for the next meeting for more discussion?
As a comment, it seems like, this, if we're talking about page 2, lines 7 through 13, about who could bring back, the ballot, whether it's we've already set something up below with a limit, and it seems like through the county clerk's office, you could already request an absentee ballot and have somebody else bring it. I think we may already be addressing it if it's an absentee ballot, especially if we're talking about somebody in a residential care facility. Is that how that works, Julie? From the residential care facility, they request an absentee ballot to come there? I'm sorry,
sister.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, Representative
Yes, Ms.
Weber.
Freeze.
So on that particular, it might be a little bit different for everybody. So I have 3 facilities. They send me a list of who would like to vote. We check them out, make sure they're registered. Then they make those individual people fill out an application. And then where it says to deliver to me would be somebody from the facility will bring them to me. So then they come and pick them up and take them to the facility and generally bring them back. That's how it happened this year. Unless there's a family member that wants to work with their own person, and then they can mail them or bring them back, because we don't have any restrictions right now on bringing them back. So a family member could, and sometimes they do want to help their loved one fill out the ballot while they're in town or whatever.
I bet.
Thank you.
And I would go back to Senator Boner's comments too, that it does change the aspect of the bill from prohibiting to opening that to more people other than what I think the bill was intended. But take more comment. Senator Steinmetz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And Senator Lane.
And, just hearing this process and thinking about my relatives this would affect and all of that, just the fact that someone could, if the signature is not being checked, and someone could come and take 5 ballots to the nursing home, and, I'm just throwing out a scenario, there could be someone that doesn't even remember they requested a ballot, and then, so I think we have to have, 5 ballots with that person could be a lot. I think we need to flesh this whole process out a little bit more about how this actually happens and how we grapple with it and not make it so restrictive that it's a hardship on those people we're trying to serve. I mean, just that balance between serving our constituents and election integrity, we have to find that and we have to get it right. So that's the only reason I requested that we work on it some more.
Senator Landon.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. And I understand that the Secretary would like this to be much more restrictive, and I get that. We can certainly balance that, when we debate the bill in November. But I just think we need more work on this, Mr. Chairman. So I think if the bringer of the motion to consider the bill is okay with taking that motion back, then we would be able to make the motion and carry the bill forward.
Mr. Chairman.
So one thing just by point of order, we don't have to undo the motion from the original makers. You can just table it till the next meeting, and that's not a debatable motion, and it gets it done if you want to.
Representative Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to ask, you stated that they send you a list of names of people who want to vote. Are those names, are those signatures of the people, or are those just a list of names?
Mr. Chairman, Representative Brown, so I get a list of people in their facility who are interested. So they went around and said, who wants to vote? And the first process is a list. And then I go through and say the following, and like with the birth date and stuff, I have to match them up. So I make sure, yes, all these people are registered, or 2 of them are not, or whatever. And then they do the application for us when I confirm that they can have one.
Follow up.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, but my question is, are you confirming that those particular people ask for ballots, or are you just getting a list of, could be typed out names?
It's typed out.
So I would like to know if that's their signature, because if it's not their signature, anybody can be requesting those. They may be registered, but it doesn't mean that they're the ones requesting the ballot. And so that's why I'm concerned about that.
Mr. Chairman, Representative Brown, so I trust the facilities, and I generally know who's in them. I mean, I'm small, we're small, so I recognize the names. So I just let them know these people qualify, and then they get an application to me. So all I'm telling them is, these 2 don't qualify, and 9 times out of 10, I don't even have to do anything. I did have a couple the last time that we had to work through some voter registration stuff, but 9 times out of 10, the ones who are not eligible at that time choose not to, because it's hard for us to get it that way. We have done the thought process of going to the facility, and I've had people with me, and I don't really like that process just because there's too much listening to each other. I mean, you can't get far enough away so that they're not hearing what their friend is saying. And I just didn't feel like it was better for the family to help them, which generally we encourage that, is that, make sure the family knows that you're getting, that they're asking for these ballots and stuff. So, I mean, we can do better on that, definitely. Just listening to this conversation, we can do better on how we get our information and how we get it back to them. But we do get a signed application from them. And we do, and we can check those out, so.
Thank you, and I'm cutting off discussion on this. We have a motion on the table with a second. I'm asking if you'd like to move that motion forward as a draft so that we can discuss it in the next meeting.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, as draft for the next meeting in November to discuss.
Thank you. Second,
Thank you.
concur?
You're the second, yes.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no.
No.
Motion carries. All right, we talked about, I'm sorry. Senator Boner.
Sorry, not to drag out anymore, but for next meeting, can I just request that both the clerks and Secretary of State come back with their recommended effective date? I guess if we moved on, that's fine, but, just that's the one other thing we'd have to take care of.
Senator Steinmetz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I just would want to put one more thought out there on that bill. Would it be a more simple and elegant solution just to check the signature when it comes back? Just check it, make sure it's the same person that signed in to request it, and then we wouldn't have to have all of these extra steps, just a thought.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Just per
Secretary
that-
Gray, I'll give you a courtesy comment.
Well, he was asking us to, there's been a couple comments about us going to the well and coming back with some recommendations. So I wanted to say a couple things on that. One, yes, on enacting dates, that's a great point. We'll come back at the next meeting on that. On the ballot harvesting bill, happy, one of my huge priorities is to get the information to you. So we'll compare with other states. We'll show you how other states do it. But I think it is very important to note on harvesting. A harvested ballot is whether or not the person agrees to have their ballot turned in by someone else. If somebody agrees to that, that's technically a harvested ballot. I mean, and if someone is taking somebody's ballot without their knowledge, I mean, that's already, I would argue, very covered by the election code. But what you're trying to get at here is people turning in your ballot, and even when it's approved, there are risks to that. And that's also a harvested ballot. And so, look, obviously the committee is, I'm open to whatever decision you make, but I just want to get all the info, and when we'll do that in the next time, show you how some other states do it. But I would caution a little bit with the idea that somebody, sort of turning it over to somebody, that is always going to be okay. I mean, the committee said there's some carve-outs and things like that, and that's been clear. And I agree it has to be a balance, but it is still a harvested ballot when somebody says, hey, turn it in for me. You always have the mail. Keep that in mind. You always have the mail. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up, we talked about 0048, but I think the clerk's actual comments for going forward were 0050 that they could agree with, which is the elections vote registration revisions. So let's pull that bill up, and we will have the Secretary of State speak on this first.
Is that 50?
Yes. 0050.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Chuck Gray, the Wyoming Secretary of State, and to my left is Joe Rubino, our Policy Director and Counsel. In speaking with the county clerks on implementation of House Enrolled Act 57, which was the Proof of Citizenship and Proof of Residency bill, specifically in regards to the durational residency aspect of House Bill 156, House Enrolled Act 57, we began talking about existing statute, both with the passage of House Enrolled Act 57 and how it treats incoming residents who may not meet the durational residency requirement for the upcoming election, as well as how the election code has historically treated those who will turn 18 prior to the election at which they offer to vote, but not before the next upcoming election. As the language currently reads, an individual in some circumstances may legally begin the process of registering to vote, but would be prevented from voting in the upcoming election. And this issue is amplified with the passage of House Enrolled Act 57. Specifically in what we discussed in May and Lander and contemplated by this bill draft, existing statutes 18-16-102, 22-1-102, 22-3-102, 22-3-103, and 22-29-104 specify that an individual must be at least 18 and have been a bona fide resident of Wyoming for not less than 30 days prior to the election at which he offers to vote. And in the case of an 18-year-old, there is actually a pre-existing conflict between two statutes in which some statutes specify a date certain to be 18 years old, but in all other areas contemplates that an individual will be at least 18 before the election at which they offer to vote. So thinking about it also in the context of the durational residency aspect, if you had somebody who had lived here for 15 days before the upcoming election, they would be able to register to vote, but technically would not be able to vote in the upcoming election. So this is the issue that we're trying to get at. This presents a unique scenario in which existing statute, at least partially, suggests that an individual could meet the registration qualifications for an election down the road, but not for the next upcoming election. What do we do with an individual who meets the requirements for an election at which they are offering to vote, but not the immediate upcoming election? So they're offering to vote, say, in the general election, but the upcoming election is the primary. What do you do in those situations? In the context of the 30-day durational residency requirement, which is how this discussion really came about, imagine a primary election on August 20th. As we said in May, you can imagine an individual who moves to Wyoming on August 1st. This is less than 30 days prior to the upcoming primary election, but outside of the 14-day registration lockout period. And so for this window, an individual may be eligible to go through the actions of registering to vote if the election at which they're intending to offer to vote is the general election. But that person would in no way be entitled to cast a ballot for the upcoming primary election. The question becomes what to do in this situation. In speaking with the county clerks, we believe existing statute calls for a pending registration, and that's been our interpretation, and we're in agreement with the county clerks on that. However, this bill draft contemplates that for both those residents that fail to meet the 30-day durational residency requirement for the upcoming next election and other situations, that we ask them to come back and register at the time at which the upcoming election for which to vote is the next election. We've discussed this with Clerk Irvin and believe that this fix would certainly contemplate legislative intent in both areas and also provide ease of implementation. We're just trying to fix an issue here. We really are. This is not, we're just trying to make this statute really easy to implement. And frankly, the 18 issue has preceded new statute. If we just want to fix the durational residency issue, that's one approach, but the county clerks were in agreement that we should try to fix both of these issues at the same time. And so you have one issue that has been longstanding and then one that became emergent with the passage of House Enrolled Act 57. So that's the bill in a nutshell. Mr. Rubino has a highly technical amendment that we're going to discuss. So go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can everybody hear me?
Very good.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Joe Rubino, Policy Director and Counsel for the Secretary of State's Office. Yeah, as the Secretary said, and I was sort of halfway joking with this, the reason for the amendment is just on page 6, line 9, changing the effective date from July 1st, 2026 to June 1st, 2026. So up 1 month. Reason for that is that there is a slight modification in WyoReg, Wyoming's voter registration system. July 1st would be right at the onset of UACAVA voting. And we've got a lot of county users in WyoReg at that time, a lot of state users from our office in WyoReg at that time. Any modifications would need to be, would require some level of implementation and deployment. And so we're just asking that it be moved up 1 month to allow for that. So that's it. Change it from July 1st, 2026 to June 1st, 2026.
Any questions from the committee?
Move the bill. For final introduction.
Bill has, yes, Bill's been moved, seconded
Mr.
for
Chair.
final introduction. Representative Yin.
I do have a question for the secretary.
Yes.
Because I actually, so just for clarification, we're talking about making sure that you're 18 before the primary election, which is instead of having your 18th birthday be sometime in between the primary and the general, to make you eligible to vote in the primary. Is that correct?
Secretary of State.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll have Mr. Rubino respond to this question. Again, if the committee wants to take the 18 situation out, I'm okay with that. I want to make durational residency very clear, but they're very similar situations. And what this has to do with is when someone is entitled to register to vote because they intend to vote in an upcoming election, but the election which they're qualified to offer themselves to vote legally is not the next election. And so the issue is, we put them in the system, they're registered for that upcoming election. So what we do now, what the clerk, we've asked them to do, and they're in agreement on, and what should happen, now there's an implementation question here on it getting, always done correctly, is to make it a pending registration. Because if it's a registration, they're on the poll book for that election, and they're not an eligible elector for that election. And so what we're saying in this bill is that if the election for which they're qualified is not the next election, that they need to come back and actually complete their actual registration once that upcoming election is complete that they're not qualified for, rather than the implementation issues of them being pending during that intervening period. Did I explain that well?
Mr. Chairman, that makes sense to me. So the follow-up, I have a follow-up if that's okay. The follow-up is that we actually have one other durational residency requirement, which is a durational residency requirement for our eligibility to serve as a candidate on the ballot. And so I'm curious on whether we need to fix that too. So if we're calling the primary election, is it 1 year from the general election? Because it doesn't say explicitly the general election, it's preceding his election. So do we need to clarify for candidates for state legislature that the durational residency is for the primary or for the general?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, wait, Senator.
I think if you think about it, the primary is really not an election. It's a nomination. And so the election is in November.
So Mr. Chairman, I think that's what this bill is trying to solve for, the durational residency requirement between the primary and the general for the voter. So I'm curious.
Correct.
So
I don't think there's an issue for the candidates.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, this is an issue that I would argue Representative Yin is entirely separate on the candidacy issue. We have long had the debate on the definition in the Constitution on what election, in terms of the one-year residency requirement. I think it's pretty clear that it's a general election. I think there was a bill to put in statute clarity on that, and I do not think it passed. Yeah, it failed. But, in certain places in statute, the legislature tries to define something in the Constitution. They've done that before. But in this case, that failed. But that's a very different situation. Our interpretation, and obviously as the Wyoming Secretary of State, I have the uniform authority, is that that's from the general election. And I think we're in widespread agreement with the clerks on that.
Mr. Urbino, did you have a comment? I saw you grab for your microphone, so.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would, just say two things. One, the Secretary is right. It would be an entirely separate bill draft idea, one that the committee did consider during the 2023 interim session and voted that down in the interim, I believe at the Douglas meeting in August, July or August. I think it's the way that they're situated. One deals with the voter and one deals with the nomination of a candidate. And I think they're situated very differently. So it would be an entirely different bill draft. The other thing I just wanted to add is the 18-year-old it's discussed, there's actually a wider conflict in the existing statutes. Some statutes say election at which they offer to vote. Other sections say next election. And so clearing that up so it's consistent would be good. I mean, for example, in 22-3-103, that does say next election. But then other places it says election at which they offer to vote.
Representative Yin, do you have a follow-up to that?
No, Mr. Chairman, other than just saying, if we're using the word election and if we want to consider the other thing a nomination, then we should change the other term for legislator to nomination and not, or be very specific, because I think in the simple language, there is ambiguity for a reader of the law.
All right. Any other comments? Senator Steinmetz?
I think I wore my microphone out, Mr. Chairman. Sorry about that. I just wanted procedurally, this was not in the suite of bills so we were moving to a vote already on this bill, which maybe we don't need to take public comment or anything on that, but I
think we do.
something I thought we needed to do public comment before we
do.
vote.
Indeed, we do.
All right, thank you, Senator. Thank you, Secretary of State. We'll continue on with comment. Clerks, would you care to comment on this bill? And since you already agree with it, I'm sure your comments will be very brief.
Will be, Mr. Chairman. Maureen Murphy, Teton County Clerk, on behalf of the Clerks Association. We 100% support this bill and everything, and the amendment of changing the date. That makes it easier on our part as well.
Thank you very much. Any questions? All right, thank you. Are there any other stakeholders in the room that wish to testify on this particular bill or the amendment? All right, any members of the public? No? Do we have anybody online? We do not. All right, we'll go back to the motion at hand. We do have did we have a motion for the amendment for the date change? Senator Boner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be the effective date guy today. Page 6, line 9, strike July, insert June.
Second.
Okay, we have a second by Co-Chair Case for that amendment of the date change. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, no. Senator Landon left aye for that as well, but now going to the bill itself, we have a motion to pass this bill with the amendment. Would you please poll the board, or poll the committee?
Mr. Chairman, this is roll call for 26 LSO 0050, elections, voter registration revisions. Senator Boner? Aye. Senator Dockstetter? Aye. Senator Landon?
Senator Landon left a vote of aye.
Senator Steinmetz? Aye. Representative Brown?
Aye.
Representative Heft? Aye. Representative Johnson? Aye. Representative Locke?
Aye.
Representative Lucas? Aye. Representative Webb?
Aye.
Representative Weber?
Aye.
Representative Yin?
Aye.
Co-Chairman Case?
Aye.
Chairman Knapp?
Aye.
14-9, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, that is approved. Now, let's move to opportunity zones. We gave, we're having a very brief explanation of that from Senator Boner, and that will move on to the next meeting, but we do want explanation of those.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, if I stay here, or you want me to go?
Your preference, Senator.
Okay, we'll just stay here then. So thank you, committee members. This is one of our interim topics. I believe I had a chance to present to you briefly the general concept at our joint meeting while we're still in session. But I'll go ahead and review the two bill drafts we have here. Mr. Chairman, I feel a little silly because after reviewing them, I realized there's only one minor difference it is a substantial difference, but it's literally a handful of words in the bill draft. So probably could have been just one bill draft, but I'll kind of go over the general idea and make sure I distinguish the differences between the bill drafts, and we can get the committee's direction from there. So the state of Wyoming has two regulatory sandboxes that I'm aware of, one for financial technology, another one for medical technology. I believe there's another one for vertical takeoff that Senator vehicles that Senator Dockstader is probably well aware of. The idea here is that this would set up a general regulatory sandbox where we're basically setting up a process to temporarily suspend rules and regulations that may be inhibiting innovation, inhibiting economic development, and it's sort of a bottom-up approach where, you don't necessarily have to, wait to every legislative session to come through and try to deregulate. This would set up a process through the Business Council that would allow individuals, companies to come to them and say, you know what, this rule, this regulation, even this law potentially is keeping us from developing this product, or it's keeping us from doing business in Wyoming. And it allows them the opportunity to submit their case to the Business Council. The Business Council does a lot of research, or some research, identifying the affected state agencies that would normally have oversight over the proposed activity. And it's just a process where, they get information from the agency, get the agency's response. They weigh that response. They make sure that if there's any competitors in this space, that they're aware of this opportunity as well. So we're not picking winners or losers here. Anybody doing a similar operation would have the opportunity to participate in this deregulatory sandbox as well. And ultimately, the way the bill is drafted, it requires approval of the SLIB to go ahead and get the stamp of approval. The idea being that this is a big deal. We want some elected official input, but could go either way on that one. Do we want to leave that to the agency, or do we want the SLIB's approval? I'm not sold, one way or the other, but those are the basic options. The way it's drafted now, you need the SLIB's approval to get rid of the rule in question. The difference is the timeframe. The 2022 bill has a one-year timeframe with the opportunity for a one-year extension. The 2023 bill has a two-year timeframe with the opportunity for another two-year extension. So it's a difference between up to a two-year timeframe or a four-year timeframe. So that's the only difference between the two bill drafts. They're drafted slightly differently, but the substance is exactly the same except for that. And so that's the general idea. Like I said, I think, we might consider the possibility that we have an overregulation problem, throughout the country, but, in Wyoming would certainly, state government is possibly just as susceptible to that as anybody. And so that's the idea. It's not necessarily focused on a particular industry. I don't even have a particular, type of product in mind in proposing this. There's no real company that's come and said, hey, we need this for X, Y, or Z. This is just a general idea that would be an option for the Business Council, or through the Business Council and ultimately the SLIB, to deregulate and provide more flexibility for our business community. So that's the general idea. And I'd certainly be glad to stand for any questions, Mr. Chairman.
Are there any questions from committee on the general concept of moving those forward to next meeting? Representative Yin.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. So I'm I think both of the other sandboxes came out of the blockchain committee, the task force that I'm on, and I've been pretty supportive of them. The broader one, a little less so, but doesn't mean I couldn't be supportive of it. I think what I'm interested in is hearing from the regulators of the two other sandboxes that we have to see how many people have tried using it, so we get a sense of, is it actually useful to have a regulatory sandbox?
Representative Locke.
Thank you, and more than anything, I just wanted to make a statement. I'm more concerned about this broad sandbox too, from the perspective, have we really thought through the unintended consequences, not understanding where it could be applied? I know it doesn't, there's a concept, we don't want to make it picking winners and losers, but it sort of feels like that. It has the potential to fall into those hands. So I guess I just want to hear in some detail how we would put this in place and we make sure that the legislature addresses the issue, gets involved in the issue very quickly. And at the end of the day, I guess the piece that jumps out at you, probably jumps out at most of the people in this room, is if we're actually feel like we're needing to do this, we probably know we're already over-regulating, so we should be thinking that through. Anyway, just wanted to throw that out.
Thank you. Senator Boner.
Thank you. I think those comments were very well taken. The state of Utah has done something similar, so we could try to get them here as well to help with some real world examples. I think that's very good input from Representative Yin. Now, as far as Representative Locke's concerns, the way it's currently drafted, the Business Council is required to at least try to identify folks doing similar work in the state that they're aware of, that this is available to them as well to help lay those concerns of picking winners and losers. And there is a reporting mechanism to the Minerals Committee so that the legislature can consider if there's a statute that's a problem, then we need to address that potentially. And so it's like I said, it's a bottom-up method that provides feedback to the legislature. And we can, set some rules as to when that report needs to be made or how quickly. But so there is that feedback loop where the Minerals Committee would be involved, since they do have oversight of the Business Council. And so we did try to take that in consideration as well, but certainly look forward to whatever other input there may be.
Any other comments? Okay, I'd accept a motion to move those two bills forward to the next meeting. Moved by Senator Dockstetter, second? Is there a second? Seconded by Senator Boner. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed?
No.
All right. That, I don't think so. The noes have it. Yeah, okay. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye or raising your hand, please. All those opposed? That motion does not carry. All right. All right, in my view, I think we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 other election bills that are still on the table as drafts.
Mr. Chairman,
Is there a motion to
go ahead.
move those forward to the next meeting?
I'll make that motion for discussion.
Representative Webb makes the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Representative Weber was quick to the draw. Discussion. Yes, Representative Locke.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I would like to move them to the next meeting and early in the meeting to make sure we have the time to deal with them. As we've seen, there's a lot of discussion to be had, and to do a thorough job, I want to make sure they're early enough in the meeting, preferably the first day, make sure we do the quality work we need to do.
All right, thank you. Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no.
No.
Motion carries. Is there any other business?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Senator Dockstetter.
Move closer to that and get the agenda out.
I can't hear him.
Can't hear him.
That we're moving.
Microphone?
You get those list of bills.
How about that big radio voice?
Start over again.
It's on vacation. Let's get the list out early enough so that we can kind of go through and study those if we could.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other, yes, Representative Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion that we have LSO take Senate File 144 and draft that to a formal draft so that we can work on that.
Could you describe what that Senate file is, please?
That is, I can.
Associations.
144, hold on.
Yeah, it's here, right here.
The,
Senate File 144, public funds lobbying. That was,
Yesterday.
Mr. Chairman, that is public funds lobbying. It was the one that Representative Lucas asked us to put forward, put forth a couple years ago by Senator Bull Bateman.
So I know that this was in the agenda, and I don't think it was brought as a bill draft necessarily for this meeting. I think it was for discussion. So you're suggesting that we do a bill draft from LSO based on Senate File 144?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Is there a second?
Second.
Representative Lucas, second.
Mr. Chairman, what year was that from, just so I can look at
21.
it before we make?
Does anybody have that?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
it was 2021, Senate File 144. It was in the materials for this meeting. Is the one we took no action on last night, and then this morning, there was a motion to bring it back to the next meeting for further consideration. There wasn't a formal motion for a new draft, but
I think that's what we're adding on is the draft piece of it, so. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. 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 All those opposed, no. Do you want division? All right, is there any other,
Mr. Chairman?
Representative Weber?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know that next meeting, we will be talking about Title 22. And in getting prepared for next meeting, I would like to ask LSO, and I have a draft here of some language to bring up under Title 22-4-101, under the application, composition, election, and qualifications of county central committees, certificate of election. It's a lengthy, I'm not going to read all of it, but the part that I would like LSO to draft, I have in bold, and simply to add, and duly elected officers in accordance with party bylaws. And I have a copy for them.
All right, since that is on our next agenda meeting, is there a second to that motion? Representative Brown? There's a motion and a second to draft language for the Title 22 discussion in our next meeting. Any discussion? Discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no.
No.
Motion carries. Is there any other business to come before the committee? Senator Steinmetz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just one comment, and that is we have a lot of important election bills coming at the next meeting. If people could have their amendments and their thoughts to us ahead of time, if they're wanting to amend or they have solutions or something like that, it would be very helpful for the committee to do its work, to have those ahead of time than to be trying to work on the fly during a short time span of a committee meeting to get that work done. So I would just request that you get your information to us quickly before the meeting.
Thank
A
you
week
for-
or two ahead. And if committee members, if one of these bills is really important to you, you might want to take the job of shepherding it, shepherding that bill under, even though it's in the committee, treat it like it's a bill. If some of these bills were your individual bills last year, think about helping to shepherd that bill because you might be the expert in that area because you did so much work on it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for those comments, because many of these bills we've seen in last interim, we've seen them in session. And so it should be very familiar to everybody. And if we could both, departments, agencies, even public comment, if we can condense that, because we have seen these before, you're very valued in the process, but if we've heard this 3 times now, and sometimes it's the same arguments over and over, let's try to make that more concise so we can get through the meeting in a timely fashion. So I would just make that comment. Is there any other business to come before the committee?
Move to adjourn.
Second that. We are adjourned.